This is a photograph of the St. Johns River that Sarah took the other day. We're here in St. Augustine, and the St. Johns River is several miles just to the west of us. And I'm using Sarah's photograph for this quick painting done in acrylics on an 8 by 10 inch piece of masonite board. This is a painting I started some time ago, didn't particularly like it, so I'm painting over it. When I have a board like this, I usually sand it down somewhat, even though I don't get rid of that image totally. I don't want any lumpy areas of paint in the panel, so I always, when reusing a board, always sand it down. All right, I'll get started with this painting. This total painting from beginning to end took me 47 minutes to complete, so it's rather a quick painting, but I really enjoyed doing it, and I kind of knew where I was headed before I ever started with this, so there was not a lot of guesswork involved. Now I'll talk a little bit about the composition here. First off, it's really beneficial to have a photograph that is compositionally to your liking before you ever start. Having to change a lot of things around from a reference photograph just slows down the process and makes it much more difficult. There's certainly enough to think about and consider when doing a painting without having to make a lot of changes to the reference photograph. So here's what I liked about the photograph. It was divided into thirds, pretty much thirds, and that's always a good start on a photograph. Now there's a lot of times where thirds don't really make sense in a painting. Here's an example here where dividing a canvas into thirds just doesn't work out. But generally speaking, dividing a landscape like this into thirds really helps the composition. The photograph also had 3 large trees in it. Now, having 3 trees in it is much better, in my opinion, than having either 2 trees or 4 trees. Having an unequal number of objects is more interesting than having an equal number. So the 3 trees work out better in this composition than having 2 trees or 4 trees. However, I did change the position of those trees because equally spaced items, like those 3 trees, were pretty much equally spaced, not quite, but I moved 2 of the trees closer together and 1 further apart. That unequal spacing of those objects also makes the composition more interesting. And of course, you'll see that in my final painting. The other point that I wanted to mention was the use of light and dark, in other words, values. Wherever there is a dark area and a very light area placed right next to it, the eye will naturally go to that location. So light against dark will bring the eye to that place. Right now I have the dark area placed, and I will get around to placing the light area in a moment or two. In the meantime, I work other areas of the painting, including the negative areas of the sky. There you can see I'm putting in that light area of the water, and that's placed right next to that dark area. So the focal point, or the center of interest, will naturally go to that area right where that light and the dark is. And here I'm just adding a few more details to finish up the painting. Hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.